This is WVBN from around the world. The League of Nations resumed international diplomacy with a string of resolutions from various member states. Bulgaria objected to a resolution to establish a League mandate in Morocco on the grounds that Italy, a non-member state, would be expected to contribute to its defense. Unless Italy was invited to rejoin the League, Bulgaria would continue to object to INPF bases in the Mediterranean. A resolution was proposed to eject Denmark from the League, citing a hostile takeover of its government and international relations by Germany, who themselves were not a member state. Presiding head Sean Lester dismissed both notions, citing that the Moroccan mandate would be managed by Britain and France, and that Denmark had forfeited its rights when it aligned with Germany. An American diplomatic representative to the League was unable to attend due to delays, and the staff demanded the assembly be postponed and follow proper protocol, citing how Denmark had not been declared an enemy of the League under any resolution. Lester again rejected these demands and blamed the US's failure to meet their requirements on their representative being a woman. The vote to expel Denmark was met with a slim majority, led by Britain and France, with the Balkan states and the Soviet Union leading the opposition. This would have led to the motion being defeated, as League votes required unanimity, had the League Voting Committee not decided earlier that this motion did not require unanimity. Denmark was therefore expelled from the League of Nations. The next motion saw a vote to expel the Soviet Union, in favor by Britain, Poland, and the Balkan states. The Netherlands opposed this motion, and France abstained, as did most other nations. The US was unable to oppose the notion as their representative had still not arrived. Without extra support, the Netherlands changed its position to abstaining, allowing for a unanimous decision to expel the Soviet Union. The decision to establish both an INPF base and mandate in Morocco was unanimously passed, as Bulgaria's vote against a mandate was declared invalid due to their early objection being dismissed. Following these motions, several nations were invited to rejoin the League, some of whom had left of their own devices in the years prior. Both Turkey and Romania faced objections by fellow Balkan states, as well as Australia and New Zealand, who gave no specific reasoning, even as Britain and other Commonwealth nations were publicly in favor of an invitation. Invitations for Japan, Spain, and Italy were passed without issue, and in the subsequent time, the US representative was finally located. France sponsored a motion for humanitarian relief for Spain, upon their acceptance of a League invitation. This motion was blocked by Australia and New Zealand again without reason, causing several to accuse them of being political assassins for Britain. The Netherlands sponsored a motion to recognize the flooding due to Morgana attacks as a humanitarian crisis. This was passed without issue. A motion to create a League mandate in the Dutch town of Delfzijl failed when the Balkan states and neutral nations like Siam blocked the vote for fear it would provoke Germany. The final motions were political in nature, the first being a Luxembourgish motion that the League, with the exception of Switzerland, would declare war on Germany should it invade Luxembourg. This was defeated by the nations of the Americas, who refused to be drawn into a European war. Lastly, the Netherlands motion to formally condemn the German Wehrmacht and SS as Morgana collaborators. Debate over the scope of the condemnation, particularly whether the entirety of the Wehrmacht was to blame, as well as the rejection by Bulgaria and Yugoslavia, caused this motion to be postponed for the time being. The session closed with a presentation by the US delegation about the aftermath of Guam, in preparation for the motion for Pacific mandate of the INPF on Guam itself. While many nations abstained from voting on this, none objected. At the end of the session, many were surprised the League continued to function. In the Netherlands, the Dutch submarine force received urgent orders to return to home port as quickly as possible. A liaison, Lieutenant 3rd Class Gerard Rijkstra, was left in Iceland to represent Dutch interests in the area. Submarines 09 and 010 arrived safely on the 17th. The Polish naval squadron returned to Britain for repairs and rest after a successful engagement of Morganas in the North Sea. The Turkish government sponsored a railway line between Iran, Iraq, and Turkey with a loan of 10 million Turkish pounds. The Spanish Navy wrapped up its investigation in the Canary Islands after the Morgana incursion in the region. The 3 Spanish bells raised the spirits of the local populace, as did the spoils recovered from the Morgana, allowing Spain to purchase much-needed relief supplies and a naval expansion, including their new battleship program. A small contingent of Spanish Marines were left on Gran Canaria in order to hunt down Morgana sympathizers who had taken up arms against the government. When caught, they were executed without mercy. In China, Soviet operatives began infiltration of Communist China in order to determine whether they were colluding with Morgana forces. It was hoped to avoid upsetting Japan should this be the case, as it would threaten the neutrality pact the Soviets had been trying to formalize. The only evidence gathered initially was suspicious residue in the aftermath of an explosion set off at a Japanese army camp. A Polynesian fisherman was rescued by INPF forces after a month at sea. Though he was barely lucid, he claimed that sea demons had attacked and overrun the island of Bora Bora in French Polynesia, a story largely believed given the lack of reports from the region. Violence engulfed the city of Santiago in Chile, as the Chilean army engaged socialist revolutionaries in the streets. Though the president remained in power, his government was effectively paralyzed by the fighting. USS Shark, on patrol in the local waters, reported at least 10 Morgana ships entering the harbor as she slipped away unseen. On the 13th, the Royal Air Force continued to carry out bombing raids into Norway, striking targets such as enemy airfields. Germany continued to support their forces engaging the British on the Norwegian-Swedish border, though several transport planes were lost in the operation. The British continued to approach the Kiruna iron mines, but heavy resistance prevented their capture. King Haakon of Norway encouraged all Norwegians to do what they could to resist the invaders. Germany attempted to bomb a secret Dutch Air Force facility, but was unable to locate it and settled for bombing several airfields. A small sortie above France marked the first aerial combat over the nation. This has been WVBN from around the world.